welcome to Nadia's studio. I am working on a sort of cross piece between my two interests, art and crochet slash knitting. And this is kind of me getting back into doing a personal project after a long time. I've kind of been putting off, but this was something I was realizing for a bit. I did some sketches to come up with some ideas of some crochet pieces I wanted to do and then convert into some planners to create later. And so this one really is a warm-up piece overall, even though I love the composition I started out with in the sketch. And if you know me in my art, I usually start with line art. I ink out the line art, erase the pencils, and then go in with watercolor. In this case, I wanted to again kind of warm up, and I'm trying to do less line art and get comfortable working with looser watercolors and figuring out how to get definition without lines. I've really I feel dependent on them. It would be one thing if I felt that's just my choice. It's not that I'm dependent on them, but I really feel I'm dependent on them for definition. And I feel a sense that I always have to overline things. I have to give this sort of cartoonish definition over things. And so going into this, I was trying to see, just feel it out, just testing some things. And let's see, overall, I think I did okay when it comes to the girl crocheting, which by the way, once I started putting in the hair, I realized, oh, I basically just drew myself. My hair's darker, but same style. I kind of wear these clothes. And so I was like, oh, this is just me. A little self-insert subconsciously initially, but then it kind of hit me as I was painting. But yes, I do end up being fairly happy with her, except for the hat. But I really struggle with the leaves in particular. I was pretty happy with the flowers, but not the leaves. And what I think it was, which is kind of my takeaway from it, is I really shouldn't have tried outlining as much as I thought. I should have kept them more vague, and I should just try to find a way to make that work with her being a little more defined, and they could have been more watercolory and loose. And because I kept going back in and trying to see, okay, because if they had been a type of leaf that has a lot of detail in them, like with the sort of I'm thinking of them as veins, but I don't think that's quite the right word for it. But you know what I mean, there would be a lot of shadows and things, and that's kind of where I excel, because I feel like I hide behind that a lot, because if I just add a lot of detail, it looks good, but it really is actually just me covering up for my lack of skill in knowing how to keep certain things simple, certain things detailed, and also struggling with developing a sense of depth. So as I went into do more layers around these leaves, which looking back, and I looked at some tutorials of how people do leaves, and again, I'm approaching it differently than others, so I don't know if that's something I need to figure out for myself or if I'm just completely doing it wrong. But they really don't use many layers. They just kind of, you commit to the layers you do, and you darken some and lighten others, particularly to develop some shadows, which again, I went in trying to make some shadows, trying to find some in the back to darken, but they ended up looking very muddied. I didn't create a good contrast. I did not create a good depth. I think I took away some ideas of how to improve that, what I did wrong with it, to improve in future ones. I will be doing some future specifically crochet pieces, because I do want to get a few good pieces to utilize for my planners. And combine this, I've had several ideas related to my art and bringing in themes of crochet and knit, which I spend a lot of my time doing. So I like the idea of combining those two and kind of sharing that, because they're both strong loves of mine and something I just really, really love doing and love to share. So I have my Etsy shop with my knit goods and everything, and now my illustration has primarily become focused with picture books and some of my personal projects, but those also lean more in the book area, like the planners and coloring books and things like that. So we'll see what I end up doing with these, but this was a warm-up. And an overall idea I had with this one, and I will be continuing with some other pieces, is crochet mental health. And that is what many who have found when they have come across crocheting and knitting is that it has had many benefits for their mental health. There are a lot of kind of dark humor jokes related to crocheting saves lives, indicating that I knit so I don't kill people, things like that, because it does have a soothing element to it for anxiety. It helps with focus. There are obviously frustrating parts about it, and like in design or complex pieces, it can be difficult. But I think for those who dabble into that area, similar to myself, that is where you also have a creative outlet, and you can come up with designs, or you can tackle complex patterns that others have made. And I have been getting into pattern designing more and more lately. It's less fun than just crocheting because I have to take a lot of notes. I have to do some math to make it all work and see that it will work for everyone, that they can follow along. But I've started really enjoying being able to produce that and have that be something to share. And I would like to include my illustrations also into my patterns, like just on the images and things like that. So I think that'd be fun. So yeah, and back to the idea of the planner, I want a mental health / crochet planner. At least just as kind of a theme, because I think that's very fitting. And my, well, it hasn't sold that well as far as reactions to it. My mental health planner journal has had the best feedback, at least I guess design wise, or maybe even concept wise. So I'm curious how it would pair together for people in the crochet and knit community. So yes, I will be continuing with that into my future projects. Now here you see I gave up on going lineless. I am going over kind of lightly with some ink in the end to give definition, because I hated what I did with those leaves. And I decided, okay, I'm just going to call it good. I'm going to outline it to give it something of a finished look. It does look very amateur to me, and in the end, I have to say I am not happy with it. I have a lot of harsh feelings about it and towards myself, but I was getting back into painting, and this was also an approach I don't usually take and I've always struggled with when I do. So if you do want to boost my ego and tell me that you think it's wonderful, I'll definitely take that. But also if you have any ideas of how I could better improve this, I am definitely looking for guidance in bettering my watercolors. I'm not a very good student when it comes to kind of following other watercolor tutorials, because they're not doing the kind of illustrations I want. I know I could learn their techniques, and I do need to really sit down and just follow along with some. But yeah, so that's kind of just where I'm at, and I'm trying to force myself to figure it out on my own at this stage. And I do realize the irony in having just talked about crochet being a mental health avenue, and here I am stressing and putting myself down over my art. I will say, yes, actually I kind of use my crochet almost to counterbalance my anxiety and stress with art. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I really couldn't give it up for the life of me. But it is also a source of stress, as it takes a lot more focus, and I have to actually be tuned into it. Occasionally I have a great day where it does rejuvenate me mentally and spiritually, and I just feel amazing because of what I'm working on, or the feeling I'm getting, or things are just coming together and it's amazing, or I figured out something new. It's where I like to explore, I guess you could say, whereas crocheting and knitting is what grounds me and gives me it helps me handle my anxiety, honestly, really, really well. It just calms me, the physical aspect of it, the sensations from the yarn and the hook that I get, and there's a rhythm to it. So I guess to that point, I'm saying I need this planner journal I'm planning to make. But just to say the irony is not lost on me. Um, so yes, so art and crochet here coming together. And I guess what they create is something that I'm kind of happy with, that kind of I'm pleased with, and then also unhappy and displeased with. So, very ironic. And I'm sorry, the dogs are constantly making noise in the background, which I'm sure is great to listen to. But we're kind of getting near the end of it here. Just gonna ink over basically everything I did, and I'm gonna wait to figure out what to do with this piece, if anything, if I'm gonna apply it to anything, or just leave it as a practice piece, and we'll play around with planner covers with some future pieces that I work on later. Something I also want to do is actually like illustrate characters in some of my crochet pieces that I've made. Maybe like the one I'll show you at the end of this video. It's a butterfly vest. I'm not the designer of the pattern itself, but I think it would be fun to illustrate that. I could also send it to the creator of the pattern as well if she'd enjoy that. But also like my sunflower poncho, which is my original pattern. I have a apple beret, which would be really cute. So yeah, I think there are a lot of good potential avenues for me to utilize both my art and crochet to kind of, I don't know, I do want to, I feel like that's a way I can kind of add and contribute something unique for the crochet knit community. I don't know, it just, again, it is something that is me at the same time. It's something that they're kind of flip-flopping between my free time, or if it can even be considered free time. I'm often doing like school along while I'm crocheting. And again, it's great for focus, as I mentioned before, so I utilize it for that, whereas the art, I have to focus just on that for the most part. But yeah, a lot of fun ideas to explore, and hopefully I can track some of them and share them with you either here in video form or over on Instagram or elsewhere. But yeah, for starting into everything, oh, by the way, I didn't even talk about these sleeping cats that I hid amongst the leaves. I think I had a poll going when I offered some of my sketches to get an idea of what people liked, and a lot of them commented that I had wasn't quite this composition, but it was a girl in a bunch of botanicals, and they did love the cat elements, so I definitely had to include them. And then, as promised, the crochet butterfly vest, which inspired the color palette for this piece. You can find it on my Etsy shop, Once Upon a Stitch Nook.